in my house.
Curtis
is finding the wrong link. I bet you money. Oh, wait, crap. We're live. I'm like going, I'm complaining about Curtis Friesen.
Tech support.
Oh, check the invite, buddy. Check the invite. Should be working. It ends it. He just needs it. He always gets the wrong link.
Broadband
We're gonna make
exactly.
We're gonna make fun of Curtis Friesen until he figures out to go to the invite and find the right link. But it's all right. Hey, everybody! It is the Data Center News Show, and we are going to talk data center markets today because there's things happening in the data center world. A couple of things are happening in the data center industry in the United States and around the world. So I will let my friends introduce themselves while I do tech support back end producing to get Curtis Friesen on the show. So
sorry,
Howie,
you're breaking up, Amy.
Sir.
The Howard Berry, Avison Young, all things data center real estate, and we have land with power. If you are looking for land with power, we've got a lot of it ready to go.
You're going to be like the new best friend of everybody here.
I know how to attract people.
Yeah, I love it. So, Josh, if it's okay, I'll hop in. Martin Reikis from Johnson Controls. We specialize in cooling as a service and power as a service. It's great to be on again and see the team. So,
Joshua Feinberg from DCSMI, the Data Center Sales and Marketing Institute, and host of the Data Center Go-to-Market podcast. Thrilled to be back here again. As always, thanks for the invite, Amy. Really appreciate it.
All right. We'll figure this out here shortly. All right. Let's get started. There's obviously a lot of news. We wanted to go through and talk about the emerging markets, which I found interesting. There was a list of them. If we're going to talk markets, we got to talk, connectivity and power. That's basically driving everything. Since you're on the street, Howie, and doing this every day, what are you seeing as far as, I don't know, like, what are you seeing out there? Is it just everywhere? Is it everywhere?
It's everywhere. There's a new group every day popping up. Some of the groups are splintering off into other new groups. And, there's a lot of speculators out there looking for that gold mine, the site with power. And, everything's an emerging market. If you have power and you can develop and you can get it there, there was one interesting, I think it was it North Carolina, that Dale Earnhardt Jr. Land was going to tract, and that was the tract was trying to turn it from residential to industrial, and the town pushed back and said, we don't know who the end user is going to be, who's going to be our neighbor, so we're not going to pass this through, and so we're seeing things like that a lot more. Hey, Curtis.
Hi, Curtis.
On time as usual.
Yeah. So is because of AI inferencing, is it going back to where you need to be within 30 minutes of a metro area? Because they were sticking them out in Timbuktu, or can you still stick them out in Timbuktu and nobody matters? What's happening in the changes in what the folks are wanting?
It's really, Amy, it's driven by power. Where can you get it? Timbuktu, you can't be too Timbuktu to make sense, because you need a workforce to build it and operate. So we're not seeing completely remote developments, but there's usually it's within an area where people are living, and there has been some pushback on that because there's been some negative press on big giant data centers coming into your area. But they're being developed. They're going in, they're buying, they're building as fast as you can. But lead times again for infrastructure are pushing longer. Transformers are 120 up to 320 days or weeks out. So we keep trudging forward.
Yes, exactly. And this is probably for everybody, but I'm assuming, and there's more and more announcements that if you're going to build a data center, you better produce your own damn power because you're not going to get it built, right? And so you're going to have to just become a power plant, power plant generator, or partner with somebody, right?
Yeah, that's easy if you can find we call it firm gas, an uninterruptible delivery of gas to your site to develop. And again, if we can find guys that are willing to go on a data center site or build us on a site that's self-generating, that's taking, longer to get groups to get there, but I think that'll get adopted.
I talked to a guy yesterday that's doing that exact thing. And we were talking about, him setting up on-site gen of 400 to 500 megawatts. And he said, that's easy. Generating power is easy. I'm like, where have you been our whole life?
Oh, yeah.
I was in Dallas last week, and they were talking about the
if you can get the gas, right? It's easy.
The hyper project they're doing in Amarillo, and I think they're going to do 1 gigawatt by next year, and that's going to be gas turbines. But they said that the majority of the power is all going to be nuclear. So you got 11 gigawatts. They're like, okay, we'll have 1 by next year, and so it's going to be a while for nuclear to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like this guy was saying yesterday. He's Canadian. He's from Alberta, and we talked about this before. Especially in Texas, we have an abundance of natural gas. It's just a matter of bringing it into the site that we need it to be in, right? And building infrastructure in order to capture that natural gas. And this guy's company, this is child's play for them. This is like wheelhouse stuff. He said 400 to 500 megawatts in 6 months. Yep, easy. You have to have the capital up front to pay for all the infrastructure.
I wonder if it's the same guys I spoke to that I had on the podcast in the spring. Gen Systems. Was it Curtis? Was it Gen Systems, Lloyd Fussell, and Jesse Webb?
No, I know those guys. Yeah, that was great. That was a good interview.
Yeah, they're also liquid natural gas. Actually, they both come from decades of expertise on oil and gas. Before they
this guy also came from oil and gas.
Yeah, but
fracking.
Yeah, so I'm working on a site outside of Austin, and there's no way in hell they're getting anything in 6 months because you can't get a recip engine for 14 months. You can't get a gas turbine for 2 to 3 years. So there's no way they're going to start producing power. They can't even get the gas line to the site in 6 months. That's a problem. So I mean,
I kind of don't want to give you this guy's name because I don't want him to start getting
Oh, you got fuel cells. I mean, Bloom claims to have quick delivery of those fuel cells.
Yep.
We need him to be working on our stuff and nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah, but I mean, so the site. Yeah, the site I'm working on outside of Austin, and I mean, we've got natural gas all around it, and we're gonna pull the gas to the site, and we've got a path to power, for a lot. I'll say it's a lot, and we've got redundancy in gas and all those great things. But even with all of that, even with the ability to pull that amount of gas there to produce a lot of power on this site, you're still looking at you're a year out just to get the gas there. But even though we're not even that far away, we're only 7 miles to the gas. And so you're still a year out to get the gas there because with the easements and all the other things they have to do, and then in parallel, you're ordering your recip engines and you're doing all those other things. But turbines are 3 years away. You're not going to get major power generation You know, I mean, you might get one or two, but you're not going to get a lot. So it's not at the level that we're talking anyway, but it's interesting.
When I spoke
It's
with those guys, they said
times, y'all.
they said the
Interesting
railroad
times.
tracks were. They said being near railroad tracks was a big part of it because
You can get easement.
fiber, and easements, So if you don't mind the vibrations, the choo-choo's going by all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good vibration.
They don't use the train for shipping LPG, do they?
No, it's underground.
Okay.
These are permanently in place
Yeah.
lines. The fuel cells have to worry about transport. That's another interesting. Actually, his interview is going live in a week or two. ECL, Yuval Bakar, who's partnering with Dean Nelson from iMasons, won an innovation award at the data center conference in Cannes in the spring. He's doing all Microsoft, Cisco, Facebook veteran building and all fuel cell modular kind of setup that eventually hopes to platform out as a new standard for alternate. Interesting supply
That's
chain.
interesting.
They basically have to build a whole supply
So
chain
what
for
I
hydrogen
didn't-
fuel cells.
You know, we talked to a group
Yeah,
we
for
had
sure.
interruptible
Right.
gas.
And I don't think we ever get to hydrogen, do we? Like, when do we get to hydrogen?
Yeah, I don't. If it's abundant, they'll use it. But you know, we've solved the interruptible gas problems with trucking in gas. They could run 180 trucks a day. They're all like, we'll give you the gas. We'll just truck it to you every day from a supplier. And it's a solution that they're solving in some locations by trucking gas to the site. I'm like, what if a hurricane happens? What if the trucks can't get there? Guess you go on generator.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you have a backlog of tanks, right?
Right. Like a battery.
Project in Washington State where they're having a hard time getting the gas and they're just going to have a lineup of tanks.
Yeah.
In case of a snowstorm.
That sounds safe.
Yeah,
Right?
not dangerous.
Yeah.
Build your data center next to a bomb.
All right. You know, we just jumped into this conversation. Yeah, we just jumped into this conversation, right? I don't know what. I'm on such. I give up.
Uh-oh.
Don't give up, Amy.
Don't quit,
I
Amy.
give up. I don't understand what's going on with my talk about connectivity. Like, come on, y'all. This is the Data Center News Show. We should have the best connectivity ever. I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening. All right. We didn't introduce anybody. We just started talking, which I find is hilarious because everybody should just know who we are. Everybody knows who we are by now, right? And so, Curtis,
No, we did.
why don't you introduce yourself, friend?
All right. Hi, everybody. Curtis Friesen. I am the Director of Market Development Mission Critical for Victaulic and a infrastructure consultant for the International Data Center Authority. And I'm also on the board of the Central Texas chapter of 7x24.
Cool. Very cool. So, Josh, what is happening on your how are things on your podcast, sir?
Awesome. This week we featured a data center construction recruiter from the UK who probably in his early to mid 20s, and he's leading with a build a brand first as a podcaster. And because of that, he went to Data Center World the first year. Nobody wanted to talk to him. He went back the second year as a podcaster. Everybody wanted to talk to him. So I think the future of data center recruiters is almost all are going to need to develop a strong professional brand to outrun competition from generative AI. Actually, I think there's a lot of people in sales and marketing related roles in this industry who are going to see the writing on the wall with all this, that to stand out as a trusted advisor and consultant and an expert, that having a platform like that's going to be super key. Next week, we have an interview with Armando Viteri, who focuses on AI development projects. The following week, we have a hydrogen fuel cells. You were on last week or 2 weeks ago. Your interview that we did back, in the spring. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. A lot of Howie's coming on right after Labor Day. He's queued up talking about all things real estate.
Cool.
Looking forward to it. All things real estate. Love it.
very global. Just recorded an interview with someone that focuses on tariffs. You don't realize how many data center projects can get completely off the rails when the equipment can't get in because of tariff reasons.
Don't get me started. Let's not get started about the tariffs. Crazy town. All right. So let's talk a little bit about, since Martin's here, we're going to talk a little bit about your cooling as a service. But when you're looking at sites or site selection, or we're trying to find which markets are best to go into, so we want to talk about data center markets, like, are there different considerations in different regions around the U.S. for how cooling is done, or is everybody just going to go to liquid cooling and it doesn't matter and that's where we're going?
Yeah, cooling. So I'm with the performance infrastructure, Johnson Controls. You mentioned we do cooling as a service, and we offer it all across the country and across Canada, and definitely cooling differs from whether you're in Texas or you're in Alberta, Canada. I think, Curtis, you were talking about Canada earlier. The requirements differ dramatically with what we build and what we put together, and most everything is rather unique because our customers are all unique. We work with very, very large scale developers as well as small, even edge size developers. So the cooling needs differ quite a bit. We'll say, it's interesting. Our customers are developers, and we also work with some of our longtime Johnson Controls customers, which might be universities, cities, some private industry where they have land and they want to develop it. And we've helped bring them developers. We've helped introduce them to people like Howard and say, help find somebody and put somebody on this property. And lately we've seen a lot in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you guys have seen that as well. So It's kind of interesting how this has been spreading. It seemed to be like these 4 places, and now it seems to be going like wildfire.
That's a great point, Martin. And I'm seeing there's a lot of Pennsylvania projects that just haven't been announced or out there that we've seen, and so you're gonna see more and more pop up.
Nuclear is coming to Pennsylvania data centers in the near future.
Yeah,
they might be first ahead of even Google announced this week with their deal with the Tennessee Valley Authority for nuclear sites by 2030. But the sites that Amazon was talking about, I think Hershey, not Hershey, on the island by Pittsburgh. Probably even sooner. So they more than likely that's got a big open for business sign for the data center industry, as opposed to some other states and some other countries that aren't as welcoming of the whole data center industry in general.
Yeah, totally. I mean, TVA is just about 40 miles down the road from my house here. I live in Nashville. So,
which interesting about TVA, I heard that the administration or the voting board is changing under TVA, and that's going to change their willingness to expand. Is kind of the predictions of what's going to happen there, and because you haven't seen a lot of expansion from TVA, and you call them up and there's no power. They have limited power resources, so it'll be interesting to see the board of directors changes there.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of development here in Tennessee myself, which is kind of interesting. So that makes sense.
There's that really high profile project in Memphis that you'd think if anyone was going to push for nuclear faster,
right?
do that or put a man on the moon this decade.
It would be, Elon.
Generators.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Texas will be the first. Though I'm pretty sure I have said that.
Oh yeah, a couple. Yes, plenty of times for sure. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what Rick Perry does with his 11 gigawatts next to Texas Tech and see what he does there for sure.
Well, when you need 186 gigawatts of requested power, how are you going to figure that out? Right?
Yeah. I thought
the former
86. I thought it was 170 something, but I guess that's pretty much the same thing. I guess.
Yeah.
Sources. Yeah, just in Texas.
Yeah.
just in Texas. 200 gigs total requested, 186 for data centers.
Yeah, no big deal.
That's cool. Transmission lines.
It's right over there. We've got it right over there.
Flip the switch.
Yeah. ERCOT can handle it. ERCOT's got it. They're good. I don't know. I mean, what does Senate Bill 6 do with that? Because now basically, I'm with all that requested power, I'm surprised that people haven't revisited it because of what happened with Senate Bill 6. Have y'all heard anything?
I haven't seen it affect anything. No.
So yeah, because basically Senate Bill 6 basically says that they can pull the plug on any data center if they have to. Like if there's a shortage of power, they can yank the power from the data center.
Sure. Senate bill, not House bill.
Yes, Senate Bill 6. So that's what recently power. And I think all that means to me is that every Texas data center now is going to do behind the meter power generation, and it's not going to matter. They're just basically where everything was going today is where it's going to go.
But they won't have an option, right?
Huh. So
No, they will not have.
I have a question then. Howie, you probably would have a good answer for this because you and I have been kind of chatting about some of this stuff behind the scenes. That wouldn't apply to if you own the on-prem power generation, right? It's just only if you're pulling from the grid.
Right.
Yeah, it's just curtailing. It's just shutting down your power to move it somewhere else in an emergency situation. If they can transport that power or use it somewhere, and they say, "Look, we're shutting you down. You're going to generators, and you're going to load shed for a day or 2 days."
You know, there were multiple crypto mining facilities a few years ago. Remember, we had that big power outage because of the extreme weather situations, and there were multiple crypto mining facilities that voluntarily shut off and put their power back onto the grid. I think it might have been a PR move for them. I don't know if it was like just totally them trying to be selfless and nice, but I do recall that happening a few years ago.
I think the crypto miners at some point have gotten enough self-awareness to realize that they had some PR problems. I increasingly now are seeing people that are coming to me that are ex-crypto miners, ex-Bitcoin data center folks that want to get into the AI business, either one, because they think they're chasing a bigger and better opportunity, and second, they probably think the regulatory environment will be more favorable to not potentially interrupting what they're looking to do. But yeah, noticed a significant uptick in the last 3 to 6 months.
And also now a lot of these are publicly traded companies, right? And so probably decisions coming from a board level that are saying, maybe let's do more than just mine crypto, and maybe let's direct some of our capacity over to some other applications like HPC and AI and make our business model a little bit more risk averse.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the Bitcoin price lately though? I mean, I think people are going to start crypto mining again because it keeps rising.
I think it's so, even though the price has gone up, it's harder to mine, as you guys know.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these crypto miners, everything you all said is spot on. And I would add on to that they're pretty smart people. They're looking at the numbers and they're saying, if I invest $1, what am I getting back? And it looks like I can maybe make more money, hosting Gen AI than mining. And I think they're at that really close point where it's one or the other.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So Howie, I got a question. Say there's a new data center coming on board. Nobody's spec building a data center, right? It's all pre-leased before they even push dirt, right? Most of everything. So
money doesn't come without a pre-lease.
Yeah, right. And so I'm always befuddled by the folks that are, when you're out building or out looking for a site or whatever it might be, by the folks that are, it's years away. Like by the time you find a site, get the power there, do everything you're doing, and then the actual data center gets into operation. What's that? 4 years? from
Mhm.
the 5 years from the time? Like you got to build a building and all that other stuff.
3 to 4 if you're basing it off utility.
Mhm.
If you're bridging it with on-site generation, you could be up and running. And we've got quotes for getting 400 to 500 megawatts self-generation bridge power, let's call it, in 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So, but again, you can't even get a building up that quick. So everything's going to be on skids and modular to get that first tranche up and going. You know, how quick can you go? But if you just want to see how quick you can go, watch Elon.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, but he did everything with generators, right?
Or Compass. Compass builds really fast.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're doing, but they do everything on generators, pretty much. Everything's
Turbine.
just turbine.
Compass uses conventional power for the most part, I think. They have a deal with Schneider too.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Chris was way ahead of the curve on that idea like 10 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. I think when he originally started, he wanted to be the edge. He was the edge when nobody else was doing edge. Like he was the first dude doing edge data center, right? And they were like smaller, but now edge is really like hyperscale. So it's so large. The stuff that he's building, it's insane. All right, let's talk about the next greatest location. Where is the next greatest location in the U.S.? So you see like Oregon. I was surprised Oregon was on the list, but there's like, I don't know, 3 gigs of capacity in Oregon that got built out. You got Dallas, you have Atlanta. Obviously, Virginia is always Virginia. But is there anything that people should be looking out for? Any sort of location? I see Austin, San Antonio is doing well, but any other weirdo location that we're not thinking of that's going to be the next hotbed for data centers?
I don't know about hotbed, but an underlooked area is St. Louis, Missouri.
Really? Huh.
Yep. Yeah, everything's built around St. Louis, Missouri. If you look at a data center map and where all the cloud providers have gone and hyperscalers, but right dead set in the center of St. Louis, there's not a lot. And Ameren, the utility there, is amazing to work with. One of the best. I really enjoy working with those guys, and they're willing to accommodate.
Interesting. Do they have
a site coming up for sale?
No, I can't imagine. Do they have the capacity to take on it like they do?
Yeah, they also go into Illinois. Ameren also handles Illinois, part of Illinois.
Southern Illinois, right? So southern, like
western.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know the total boundary.
Huh.
I have a couple thoughts, Amy.
Yep.
One, I'm hesitant to disclose because I kind of want to get in on it early before everybody else, starts blowing it up. But that one is Taylor, Texas, which is just outside of Austin, about 30 minutes east, where the new Samsung facility is operating, which is a $40 billion project for semiconductor manufacturing. But the base on that infrastructure. And also, that's the headquarters of ERCOT, of the grid itself. So there might be some, inside tracks there for anybody that's kind of be building nearby. But because of this conversation I had yesterday with this guy from Alberta, we can pretty much bring in as much power as necessary, and water for that matter. So if you identify the proper track, earlier, Martin, we were talking about being alongside railroad tracks. I mean, that's also a feature of Taylor, Texas. So it's really it checks a lot of boxes, right? And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more attention being paid to those like slightly outside of the tier one, the hub cities. I think there's going to be a trend of finding and identifying opportunities to build the infrastructure slightly outside of those cities. The other thought I had is I think we're going to see. I think we should see a resurgence from Eastern Washington State. There's a lot of available land, but also that power grid is mostly hydro, so it's super cheap. We're looking at like 3 to 4 cents a kilowatt hour because of hydropower, and I think that's underrepresented. There was a lot of attention being paid to it probably 10 years ago. I think Microsoft has built a few sites out there. Yahoo was that was their main facility, and now that probably just runs a fantasy football platform exclusively every year, which is far superior than all the other fantasy football platforms, by the way.
Yeah.
Curtis, have you seen Boardman and Hermiston, Oregon, that with the AWS expansion out there, they've expanded 2 gigawatts in that market, and it's totally an area you wouldn't even think there'd be data centers out there. Hermiston and Boardman right next to each other, and they have another 2 gigawatts of development going on. So it'll be a total of 4 in that particular market, and there's additional power going into that area. I do have land with power there available too.
No way. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was shocked by Oregon. Like when I was looking at the top markets, like who was in the gigawatt club, like that's what they call it now, like which market's in the gigawatt club, and Oregon was in it. Like they got 3 gigs of like, and I'm just going, and they're going to add 4 more. That's just crazy town. So that
I was born in the Willamette Valley.
All right.
You know what else is surprising, Amy? You sent over that list of the top markets right now here in the world, right? I was comparing that to some of the emerging markets, even just back in the similar JLL report. There was H1 in 2021 and H1 2022. What's interesting is Northern and Southern California have really just kind of fallen off the list, right?
Yep.
What happened? I mean, I have my theories about.
What do you think?
Howie.
Howie can tell you
What
all.
do you think?
I think everybody knows what my
It
theories
was Gavin Newsom, Rob.
Yeah, but get it together, California.
I
Come
know.
on.
Oh man,
I know.
it's too expensive. It takes too long to build, and nobody wants to mess with it. And that's why Reno became popular. Look at the layout or the way we lay out the data center infrastructure, right? California can't do it anymore. Silicon Valley out of power. PG&E can't trust. Okay, so then you go to Reno or you go up to Hillsboro. Both markets are tapped out. You have a long wait time. But what's really interesting, because you look at like comparably Florida. And Florida just passed the bill where anything built over 100 megawatts and above, you get a tax abatement. But nobody's building 100 megawatts and above in Florida because of hurricanes. So where do? You go up to Georgia, which there's so much demand in Georgia right now. Easily it's the second biggest market. Well,
look at these numbers too, Howie. So I'm looking at that report right now, JLL, H1 2022. Between Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas Fort Worth, there was less than 20 megawatts under construction 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Yeah.
And in Northern California, there was about over 300 megawatts under construction. Just 4 years ago, right? But 0 in LA, and I mean that's almost completely opposite now. In fact, there's way more under construction in Texas now.
Yeah.
Way more than a couple hundred megawatts. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
100 times more.
We don't see any projects. I've heard of PG&E talking about a couple gigawatts of requested power for data center development, but nothing going in California. And even China Mobile's got a vacant data center they overpaid for and built in San Jose, California, that's still vacant. That's sitting. It's like they've got 30 megs critical, and they can't operate.
Wow.
The data center. Yeah, brand new. So they have their office here, the corporate office there, but it's a vacant data center. So they can't operate because of FCC blocked them from operating data centers in the US, but they are in the cloud. But in California, nothing. I don't see any projects or barely look at land at all.
Howard, I've heard some whispers about Ohio. I haven't seen much yet. Does that seem to be on the up?
Same thing as Oregon, that, like just powers. They've got some power. It can expand in some certain areas.
Yeah, Martin, that was on the list that Amy sent over earlier. I was very surprised to see Columbus above Chicago. Columbus, Ohio was number 7. That was
They're huge.
new
growth.
information to me.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
You're
they
muted.
just got a lot of land and the utility. So I think that's the magic sauce, right? You got a lot of land and you have the utility provider who's super friendly. I mean,
Or
you can
cheap
do
nat gas, right?
Excuse me, it was number 6. It was right behind Oregon. When Virginia, Phoenix, Dallas, Atlanta, Oregon, Columbus,
Wow.
Yeah, huge
Yeah.
growth.
Chicago's number 9 after
I think
that.
they've got cheap gas there. Is that
They got a lot of gas.
correct? Yeah.
Very gassy.
Very gassy.
very gassy, very gassy. So is Pennsylvania too. So I was surprised where I didn't see where Pennsylvania was, and they've got a lot of gas. And then, well, that big announcement that Trump made, I'm assuming, so they should show up eventually on the emerging market list, right? The whole state of Pennsylvania.
Well, so let me clarify. That list that I just went down, that's operational capacity. Emerging markets, Pennsylvania is
Right.
number 3 behind Iowa and Austin, San Antonio.
Yeah. Iowa, of all places, Iowa. Really? I guess because it's in the Midwest, it's colder. There's no hurricanes or tornadoes or, flood. Well, they could have floods. They have rivers. They could have floods, but Iowa, I guess, super.
And then Abu Dhabi, and then, like you said, Howie, Reno, number 5, emerging market.
Yep.
And then Dubai, Minneapolis, Berlin,
I
Helsinki,
know.
and Munich. All right, couple of German cities there
Germans.
emerging.
Wonder City. Yeah, I can't. So Dubai, I've heard lots about it. A lot of people starting to get in, not just data centers, but just all sorts of folks trying to get over there into the MENA region because it's just growing so crazy. But the Saudi prince, one of them, I don't know if you're just a regular prince or you're like a crown prince, like if that makes a difference. I'm assuming one of them, but has just made. They're going to make a huge investment into data centers in Saudi Arabia as well. That's not UAE, but that's Saudi Arabia. So, but generally they talk to one another.
There's
It's kind of
basically a combined sovereign wealth fund between a lot of those Middle Eastern countries that have committed about $1.5 trillion of investment in data centers over the next
I know.
5 years.
Howie, you're gonna need to start, going over and get a camel and go over to Saudi Arabia. Start
Get a camel?
slinging data centers.
I ate some camel when I was in
Did
Oman.
you really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. What did it
I
taste like?
thought it was spare. I thought it was short ribs. I was like, this short rib stew is amazing. And they're like, actually, Curtis, that's camel. And I was like, well, that's the best camel I've ever had.
Crazy.
It was really good.
When was the last
I
time
will
you were there?
remember that next time I bite into a camel.
When was the last time you were there? When was the last time you were there?
That was in Q1 of 24.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I'm supposed to go to Riyadh at the end of this year. So we'll see if I make it. I don't think I'll eat camel though. I don't know. I might try. Who knows?
Try the camel.
No idea. No, that's a crazy town. All right. The other thing I wanted to talk about is obviously AI is driving everything. Is there any sort of trends that you're seeing from where a data center chooses to locate, or what they're choosing, all the existing data centers, what they're trying to do so that from a market perspective to catch the AI wave? Is there anything happening in the industry to, like, let's talk, there's a couple of things. Obviously, where you do location for a greenfield site for AI is one thing, but for all the existing brownfield sites out there, what's happening in the world today for those data centers to catch the AI wave? Are they not trying?
Or, I mean, so 2 examples. I have a crypto miner that's adding on AI. So they have a certain amount of crypto. They're not shutting that down. They just said, hey, we're adding on 40 megs of AI on top of our crypto. So that's one example. And then I've got another client about the same size, I think 35 megs, and it needs to be upgraded. It's 15 years old, and they're like, we can't be running these. We're going to be running much higher power demand racks and all different equipment. So we need new cooling. And so they're doing the brownfield upgrade. In addition to that, they have a cap on power. So it's a 2-part solution. We need on-site power, and we need to upgrade our cooling, and obviously all the white room stuff.
And are they able to, I mean, because I didn't think some sites might have the ability to upgrade their power, but not everybody, right? I mean,
Absolutely correct. I mean, if you don't have nat gas, if you can't work with your utility, if you don't have solar, if you don't have wind, if you don't.
Mhm.
So you're absolutely right. It's going to be based on where they are, if they even have an option to do that.
Martin, what are you seeing on density, rack density?
I don't even have an answer to that because it's so spread out.
Yeah,
Really.
I'm hearing
Kind
a lot of
all
people
over the place. No one's like,
targeting 250. Yeah.
I think I've mentioned on the show before that Victaulic is pretty soon going to roll out a liquid to rack package, a cooling package with our different fittings and valves and pipes, etc. That's going to be supporting around 200 kW per rack, and we've already deployed 100 megawatts of that for a hyperscaler here in Austin. Let's say that.
Very cool. So
Martin, do you know how about efficiency when you're liquid cooling compared to air? Do you guys run any kind of matrix on that? What that looks like? Because obviously you don't need to run as intense conditioned air, and you can run higher temperatures when you're cooling the chip.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sure we have that information. I don't have it.
You guys do? Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as all those brownfield sites, what do they do? Are they moving?
We lost you for 2 seconds. Sorry, Amy.
I
But
know.
I think that it sites with power, and it comes down to that same theory. If you've got a site with power, some speculators will build out for the expansion and tenants to come to the space. But again, most are all going to look for a tenant to take that demand so they can finance that expansion. There are sites, and if you look at a majority of the data centers across the country, they're all 2 to 5 megawatts.
Well, also in terms of like the generative AI applications, how important is latency?
Right.
Yeah. So that kind of opens up other options. And like you said, Howie, where's the power? And we're representing a organization right now that was super eager to build in Loudoun County, but there's no power available till like 2031. It's all spoken for, right? They're still building it, but it's already spoken for, right? It's pre-purchased. And so this company's like, all right, I guess we're not going to build in Loudoun County. Plus, we all know this, it's $5 million an acre. Why would you want to do that? So we're looking at Texas.
Latency matters for the particular user, right? And let's just say Equinix and Cologix. That's important to them, right? That's their business model.
Mm-hmm.
So others, I don't see it as much. It's more about how much power can we get and how much can we lease it out for.
Where was T5, I think, announced that massive build into somewhere here, Texas, a couple days.
Texas. Yeah, the Texas.
Yeah.
Where what town and where was that? Or no, it was Vantage. I'm sorry, Vantage.
It's Vantage. It was in Shackelford County outside of Abilene. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's all around Stargate. So all this stuff is kind of circling around Stargate, right? Yeah, it's 1,200 acres outside of outside of
So
Abilene.
Stargate is anchoring this for a lot of other development.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So my question is, like, remember back in it wasn't even that long ago, everybody was talking about, oh, we need spaces to do training, AI training models, right? I don't hear that much anymore. And that was like a couple of months ago. Like, that's what everybody wanted, like, be out in the boondocks so we could run our training models, right? And do our thing. And now I don't hear that. Is that gone away? Is that use case gone away? No, right? You wouldn't think. Or they just
I don't think so. I think Howard's right. Is that it's all different. Some applications, let's say your fintech, I mean, latency matters a lot. For some applications, like you said, for training, it's like, I don't know, throw it out in the middle of nowhere because I'm just going to throw a lot of power at it and crunch the model. And then when you're doing inference, you want it faster. But I mean, me personally, if I'm on GPT asking it a question, it takes an extra second. It's like, okay.
Speaking of fintech latency,
there
yeah.
you go. There you go.
that's all about fintech latency.
There you go.
Very good. Yes.
Get started. It's really good.
By the way,
Was
Michael
that the trading? Was that the one on trading?
Yes.
Yeah, where they went through a mountain to get the fiber quicker.
Yep.
Yes,
That's a great book.
for sure.
Michael
And
Lewis.
and can you imagine, have you seen how AI is doing trading now? Have you seen that they're using AI algorithms to do trading? And then this whole thing about it's unfair. People can trade faster than other people. And so when quantum computing is able to do trading and what you're going to be able to do there, like they're not going to be able to keep up. There's just no way. Like somebody's going to learn how to hack the system. Welcome. It is America. We learn how to hack the system, man. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
With this AI expansion, it's really interesting because it's such like the apps on phones and when everybody's building apps. And I went and spoke at a thing last week that was all a bunch of founders and startups, and this AI expansion and growth and where it's going in that 2027 article on AI taking over. It's a little daunting and scary to think about where we're going with AI. But then I see the applications that these founders are creating to help kids in school learn at different levels so that they can identify how a kid learns. There's so many cool applications that are coming out that we talk so much about AI, but we're actually creating really cool tools that are going to help humanity.
Yeah.
I use AI when I trade, but it's not artificial intelligence; it's anti-intelligence. Apparently,
is that lifting weights? Yeah.
Hey, can I invest in that anti-intelligence?
Yeah.
that stock sounds like it'll make money.
Is that your new startup? Here's a shovel.
That is too funny.
Damn it! I lost again. System's rigged.
Everybody's going to take Curtis's ideas.
Exactly. No, for sure. All right. So where do we think? So I want to throw this out to the crowd before we take off. I was arguing with somebody. Can't imagine that. I was arguing with somebody. They were saying we were in an AI bubble. And I was like, dude, we ain't even in the first damn inning. What are you talking about? We're in an AI bubble. Like, am I crazy? Are we in an AI bubble?
I'd like to know what this person does for a living.
Oh, he's supposedly an economist. He said, I want to see your evidence. And I'm like, dude, I don't need any evidence. We haven't even seen what AI can do yet.
That's not even a real job.
I know.
It's like saying, oh, he's a philosopher.
He's just mad because AI is going to replace him.
I know.
That's exactly what he's mad about. You're so right, Howard.
Yes, for sure. No, we're not in an AI bubble. I'm assuming this is the consensus among the group.
I think we are at an inflection point where power. How do we keep going? That's our problem. Look, we're looking at sites. It's getting thin because we're really raking, as Trump says, raking the forest here, to find sites of where we can build power, and some work, some don't. So we move on, we go to the next one. And, until we adopt the power self-generation on site, I just think that we're going to be slowing down pretty quickly here.
Yeah, it's a kind of a different definition of a bubble. than the one that we're used to. And I agree with you, Howie. The same thing. We've applied this also to like the data center bubble, right? It's not a bubble that's going to burst due to lack of demand. It's just a matter of constraints on the power
Capacity.
supply,
Right.
and the speed that the infrastructure can keep up with all of these massive rack densities, right?
I know.
It's a cart horse situation, and even the infrastructure that we've built right now is really only to satisfy the demand from 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Right.
So in that sense, we're always going to be behind, but it's not something that's going to, the bubble's not going to burst. There's no
Yeah.
I'm the same way with you guys. I mean, I'm definitely always my whole life been a tech optimist, but then if you look at leading indicators, right? I mean, let's look at GPT use. I think in July he said 2.5 billion prompts a day. It continues to go up. So if you look at, my son just got hired by one of the big firms as an AI engineer. They're still hiring in those areas tremendously. So they have the insight on what the customers are demanding. We're seeing all the targets and all the forecasts, even over the last year and what's happening, that those are still all going in the right direction. So I think we're good. I'd love to hear Josh's input on this because he interviews a lot of different people.
Yeah, my take is in the same way that people are saying that we have at least another 3 to 5 years before the smartphone starts to get disrupted by glasses and AR kind of reality. I guess what Google was experimenting with 12 years ago. I think we're still very, very, very early on seeing what AI can do across business applications. I think the cost of power and the scarcity is going to drive up costs. It's going to be interesting to see how investors are going to force business models to figure out a way to recoup some of those costs. I think what we were talking about with latency and inferencing is you're going to see like companies like OpenAI and CoreWeave, everyone's going to have to experiment with tiers based on how badly you need something instantly. Like even what you're talking about with the trading. I think there's also a really interesting part with the locations too, is I think as we start to see this semiconductors going to certain areas and nuclear going to certain areas, I think there's going to be a halo effect of smaller, lighter use facilities, more operators, more colos, more hyperscales following those kinds of innovations. But yeah, I think there is still this, I don't want to call it a bubble, but there's definitely some unsophisticated real estate investors who think they want in on AI. I was just looking at of all places, there was a thread on Reddit the other day about someone that has a 4,000 square foot warehouse in Miami that wants to know if they put $2 million into this, what they can do for a data center. And everyone's like laughing them off the thread. For $2 million, you're not going to, you're not going to put a shovel in the dirt for $2 million, or for like the stuff that I see that's not going to pay your, market development kind of stuff. So like, yeah, the costs it's gotten to the point where you don't see a lot of small entrepreneurial people developing these outside of the confines of REITs anymore, because it's just gotten so much more capital intensive. And again, it's for sure an arms race.
Yeah, I mean, for it, just for the, so I'm doing Howie's gonna be with me. We're gonna be at Blueprint, and we're gonna be doing a panel on Data Center 101. So this is for all the real estate developer people who are chasing the shiny object and they really want to get into data centers. We're going to like school them on what it's going to take. And that's one of the things, right? It's like you're doing site selection, or you're trying to do due diligence on a site to see it's not you can spend the least amount of money as possible. You're going to spend like $800 to $1 million to determine whether this site is data center eligible. Like, I mean, it's like you're going to do the horizontal, you're going to do your power studies, you're going to do, make sure you've got the water available, whatever level of water is needed, depending on what the data center is going to do. It's not cheap. And so all these people thinking they can just get in and land bank and, oh yeah, we'll just flip it. We'll just say we have, a power purchase agreement. Or even a load ramp schedule. And what I'm hearing now is a load ramp schedule isn't even worth it, especially if you're a first time developer. you're actually going to have to see you're getting power to the site actually before people will pay attention to you. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah.
I think the 7-figure aspiring or 8-figure aspiring AI real estate investor is going to do kind of what the colo investor did 8 or 10 years ago, is DataBank or Cyrus, someone else's, a big operator's facility from 10 years ago that they sold off to a small regional player that used it for 5 years. And now the small regional player doesn't want it. Then it's finally going to get to the point where it's inexpensive enough. And it's like in the 9th or 10th inning of its usage. And AI workloads are never going to go near there. It's going to be just traditional compute and storage.
Yeah.
Where latency doesn't matter much.
Storage, still need it. Gonna need a lot more of it.
Video growth like crazy.
Yeah.
Besides the AI.
Yeah.
Zettabyte. If you can explain a zettabyte.
Very, very true. Is there the growth in the storage piece of the data center? Is anybody talking about that at all, or is it just everybody's AI?
All part of it. No, it's all part of it. It's part of the growth. You know, I found it interesting on the zettabyte. What was it? It's one all of YouTube storage is 1% of 1 zettabyte. Everything on YouTube.
Wow.
Like, that's insane.
It's 1,000 exabytes, Howard.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
But I don't even know what that.
We talked about
now?
storage on Amy. We talked about storage on this show a few months ago, and we realized that we're just going to put it all on the moon.
Oh, that's right. But then it falls over.
It fell over. It fell over.
Then it fell over.
That's so funny.
That's right.
I get that
Got it
question
all the way up
again.
there, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't think it through."
Oh, yeah.
There's
on to the solar panel. You know, it could have fallen over on the other side and still would have worked a little bit.
There's a storage-based startup in Switzerland that I had on the podcast earlier this year, Swiss Vault, Buchbinder Buehler, that's working on storage solutions for 2 purposes. 1, storage that lasts for 100 years, and 2, similar applications for putting storage up in space where nobody can go fix it when it fails.
Oh, yeah. We had the guy from Sarabyte, Howie and I. It was like in May. I remember doing this one, and he has a really cool storage solution that'll last like 500 years or something crazy. It's built on ceramic. They're doing data on ceramic. It's like way above my head. Like, I don't understand that, but but it's cool. It's very cool.
You can't beat the name Swiss Vault, though. I got to give him that.
That's great marketing on that one.
I would invest in that. That sounds like a sure thing.
He's comes from healthcare. Originally had applications. I think they're still actually looking at healthcare applications where you're looking to store vertical studies of like cancer patients going over decades. And when you're storing those records, you can't, where you're looking at people's lifetime and looking at multi-generations, you can't have the storage fail.
Right.
So what do you do to build that?
That's
what they're working on.
That's awesome. All right, y'all. There's our hour. We survived. We made it through. This is another fun conversation with my buddies in the house. All right. So, Howie, if somebody would like to get a hold of you because they've got land and they think it's going to be great for a data center, how could they do that?
I'm on LinkedIn and howard.berry at Avison Yo, it looks like here on .com. It's Young, Avison Young. Avison Yo, call me. We got a lot of land. We got power. Give me a call.
There you go. Very cool. And Martin?
He's the most popular kid on the playground with land and power.
Exactly.
You can borrow it if you want.
Martin Rankin on LinkedIn, Johnson Controls. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, no worries. And
thanks,
Curtis?
Curtis.Friesen at Victaulic.c ... or
Yo.
Victaulic.com and connect with me on LinkedIn, Curtis Friesen.
Very cool. And Josh?
Joshua Feinberg from DCSMI. Best way to reach me is just through LinkedIn. I have no power. I have no energy. I have no land, but what I do have is a very special set of Liam Neeson skills. Skills that make me a savior.
Nice way to wrap that.
Exactly. And this is Amy Palvido. I'm your host with internet connectivity issues today, but that's all right. We'll figure it out. And I am the chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council. And we will see you at YADA. We'll see you at Blueprint. Y'all have a good one. We'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Curtis.
All
Thanks,
right.
Martin. Thanks, Howie.
Thanks. See you guys.
Bye now.